Good morning. Good morning. Hello, beautiful people. What's going on, Woo family? Wake up, everybody. It's your girl, Dr. Alexea, um, board certified physician, mother, author, speaker, cancer survivor, thriver, and I can't wait for you to talk to you all today and have a Q&A with Dr. A. We're specifically going to be talking about healthcare and medical misinformation in the AI internet influencer age, and I can't wait for us to get into it.
Wake up everybody, it's time to get up. Wake up everybody, it's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. We're healing, we're dealing, we're growing. Together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, we're learning, discerning. We're striving. Together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together.
All righty, I'm back. How's everybody doing? Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Brother Adam, Cassandra, Helen, Kathy, Malika, and Gina are our admins for today. I am Dr. Alexea. For some people, I am reintroducing myself and being welcomed back into the space. And for other folks, I may be new to you. I can't believe it's day 1659 in the wake up space. Um, Again, I'm Dr. Alexea. I'm a triple trained and board certified physician. I'm trained in internal medicine, general pediatrics, and adult infectious diseases. And I was a regular in the wake up space from the very early days and the very early conception of this movement. And we were talking a lot, of course, about healthcare and what was going on when COVID first started. And when COVID happened, it really shifted the way we received healthcare. Telehealth became very mainstream, very normalized. It became a lot more mainstream, I think, and more normalized for people to talk about health information via the internet. And we had a lot of people newly declare themselves experts in all things health and wellness. And we just sort of began to trust talking heads on the screen, as we sometimes refer to them. And I don't mean that in a good way or a bad way. Take that as neutral information when I say talking head, but it just became more normalized to go on your phone, go on your laptop, go on your iPad or tablet and consume not just information, specifically health and wellness information from people who declared themselves experts, excuse me, without necessarily understanding, well, what is that person's expertise? What makes them an expert? So, and over the years, I can't believe it's been 6 whole years, 6+ years, um, since COVID and of Wake Up and all the things that, and how things have shifted so dramatically in the world, and how that has the potential to impact our health and our well-being, and that could be good, bad, or indifferent. So I want us to have a conversation today. I'm calling it Q&A with Dr. A, but I really want to really emphasize or really stick to the conversation around utilizing um, social media, utilizing AI, and how we receive health information, and how I want us to really think about how do we decipher that information. How do we know, should we trust or not trust that information? Because there's a lot going on. So I'm going to ask my wonderful admins and producers of this episode to drop the questions in the chat for our audience. And if there's a question slide, we can put that up so that we can really start to develop and evolve this conversation. I certainly did not come on here today to be the only voice being heard in this space. I really want to chat with you all. So it's going to be a Q&A, but I don't want us to be talking all around the world. So I want us to utilize the questions that I'm offering to sort of guide our conversation. If someone has personal experience as we get into our questions, I'm happy to talk about that and talk through that with you all. So I guess we'll say a show of hands or throw a hand into the chat. Do you go to the internet for medical advice?
I'm gonna start. I
Sure.
was on GPT yesterday, just trying to just telling Chat, hey, I'm feeling this way. I don't know what's happening with my throat. Do I have do I have strep throat or what?
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, I actually could just go to the doctor, but
Mm-hmm.
instead of asking Chat the same way I would go on WebMD actually. But for
Yeah.
some reason, Chat feels more personal to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm complete.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. So that brings up a good point, and there's of course a later question about utilizing AI. And the tricky part with chat is when you're prompting chat, you have to be so highly specific with the way that you're answering the question, because what someone may not know or may not understand is when chat is reading the information and coming up with the answer to your question or your query, it's reading everything. The chat does not know if it's a, blog from a, I'm going to just say this and I don't mean it in a derogatory way. Just this is kind of how people speak, right? So let's say it's a blog from an all organic, um, no vax. I don't believe in um, allopathic healthcare person who would never give their child an antibiotic. And they wrote a blog on why you don't need to use antibiotics for strep. Well, one, you need to use antibiotics for strep. It has devastating long-term consequences if it is left untreated, and it needs to be treated with antibiotics and cured. Um, so the chat will bring information from that. It may bring information from WebMD, which I'll use because you already mentioned it. It may bring information from the CDC. It may bring information from the Infectious Diseases Society of America or the American Academy of Pediatrics. And it's going to tell you one set answer or one set information. And depending on how you prompt it, it may give you just this one thing, or it may give you um groups of information and with some references, but it depends on how you ask the question. So you don't know if it will tell you yes, you definitely have strep, because the other thing some of these AI bots and things do is they can be very affirming, meaning if it's asking, if you're saying, do I have strep, it might lead that particular AI tool that you're using to just affirm you. And it may say, yes, yes, you have strep. And you may or may not have strep. It may even hallucinate and make up an answer, which is like, that's crazy. The AI can hallucinate, right? And so when you think about, going to the AI, whatever platform you're using, I don't want to keep calling out the name of one platform. You have to recognize it's reading everything and it's giving you, one answer or one group of information that may be correct and it may not be correct. So we just have to be careful with that because the information could be good, bad, or indifferent. And so, yes, there's things we might have ordinarily gone to the doctor for that now we're not going to the doctor for. And that's great if the answer was accurate, but you don't know if the answer was accurate. You don't know what space or what information the the AI tool is answering from. So it could be from a blogger or an influencer. It could be from a scientific body. It could be research backed and evidence based, and it could not be. So we have to understand that going in when we're utilizing these tools, because what we have begun to do is just take whatever the AI spits out as fact, and it may not be fact. And it certainly isn't going to tell you that this may not be fact. So I
Yeah,
want people to be aware of that and be careful with that.
for sure. We have a couple of answers in the chat.
Sure.
Cat says yes, they do use the internet for medical advice. Prof. Marilyn says Grand Rising Royal Family. Grand Rising, Prof.
Amazing.
And Prof. Marilyn says she uses the internet just for general information and definitions. And
Oh,
I'm confused.
all right. Awesome. So, like I said, I really appreciate that share. So, there used to be a time where if you went on like WebMD, for example, because again, it was brought up in the space, most people would say, "Oh my God, I went on at WebMD and I just made an appointment because it made me feel like I was going to die." And I used to joke and say, "Yeah, these online internet based companies, programs, etc. They always tell you that, oh, the worst case scenario is cancer or death. You might have that because they want to drive you into the healthcare setting. And the reason they want to do that is because they cannot be liable for the decisions that you made based on one little set piece of information that you read, without understanding your knowledge of what you just looked up, without knowing what's going on, without having a conversation or a history taking, without having the benefit and the ability to examine you and do other tests. They don't want to be liable, right? So if someone went on to WebMD and put in, something like, oh, I have swollen lymph nodes in my neck. Could be strep, could be a virus, could be cat scratch disease, could be leukemia or lymphoma. So it's going to tell you all those things and then say, and you know what? You need to go on to the doctor and figure that out. But I don't find that the AI tools necessarily do that. So I've seen a dramatic shift in how people show up after having engaged with AI with a medical question. They will come to my office and they say, I have a parasite. And I'm like, oh, how do you know you have a parasite? Well, because I put my symptoms in and the AI said, I have a parasite. I have a parasite. I need you to treat me for a parasite. That's not how this works. This is not how we engage in healthcare. And the chat can be wrong. It can be inaccurate. It doesn't know anything about you. And it can be sometimes overwhelmingly affirming. And so it's for me, what's not for me, it's not hard to move people from that. But I find that people have a hard time moving on from whatever the AI told them. The AI told them that now it's a fixed decision for them. They only want to talk about that. It can become challenging to get additional history information. Let me examine you. Let me do additional appropriate workup based on the symptoms you're reporting in your physical exam, because now this AI is the focal point for this person and is driving that medical or healthcare conversation. So I
Yeah.
want us to talk more about it.
Florence says, I would balance out the sources, whether it's the doctor or AI. I have
Hmm.
accepted most information as gospel.
Yeah, that's
And
great because we should not be accepting these things as gospel. The AI is fallible. It's not personal information or unique to you. It's generalized information. And so I think we should take whatever information we use and receive and go see someone who is expert in the condition that we are concerned about or have already been diagnosed with, and have a conversation, get supporting data, workup, etc., and come to a real conclusion, and then decide if any treatments are needed and what they are, and make sure that they are evidence based, but also make sure it is the gold standard evidence that we use in healthcare. So thank you for that. Thank you, Florence, for your engagement. So does anybody in the group today want to come off mute and just discuss if they've ever um, used AI, asked a clinical question, and then went to their healthcare provider with that information? How did it go? And what was the outcome?
Good morning. How are you? Peace and blessings to everyone.
Good
Um,
morning.
I think most of us have used it. So intentionally, I've never used it. It pops up on your telephone. It pops up on your computer. It pops up every place. Like you were saying, to get something that's from a person. So what I do when I'm talking and it comes up, or when I call someplace to get information, I've called my union, I've called other places, and it comes up. So I ask the voice that I hear, are you a real person? And then I'll get a response, yes or no. And when the other voice comes on, I said, are you a real person or are you AI? And and then I'll ask them some other questions that will let me know whether they are a person or not. And then I'll go on to ask them. So that's been my experience. I've never intentionally used AI. It's just in my life right now.
I love that. That you ask, is there a real person? And I agree, I have that experience too. I'm not interested in using AI. It's trying to write my email, it's trying to write my text messages. It is trying to answer my questions when I do just even just a basic online search engine, right? I just want the million things that I used to get, and I want to go and select what I determined to be a safe and trusted source for me or a reputable source for me. And right at the top, it's like popping open the AI tool. I didn't ask for that. I don't want that. I want to read the data. I want to find a clinical trial. I want to find, you know, what is the clinical evidence? What is the medical guideline that I know the American Thoracic Society is the expert that writes the guideline for this chest infection I need to treat. I don't want your AI answer. So they are like forcing it upon us. Um and I don't agree with that. I think we should be able to seek information how we want to seek it, because I don't appreciate this is the answer, right? It doesn't allow us to come to our own conclusion anymore based on reading multiple sources of data or seeing multiple sources of data. Again, sometimes depending on how you prompt it, you may be able to get, oh, you may be able to ask for clinical evidence, but you have to know to ask that. You have to know how to prompt. And when I say prompt, I mean prompting is a specific way to ask a question or give an AI tool information in order for it to produce an answer for you that is as accurate as it can possibly be. So if you just go on and say, "Tell me why my throat hurts," it may give you a laundry list of things about why someone's throat might hurt, but that is not necessarily going to be accurate information versus if you asked it to say, acting as a board certified pediatrician, my 14-year-old came home with a sore throat, a fever. She has a swollen lymph node in the front of her neck, and her stomach hurts. Can you give me a differential diagnosis of reasons her throat might hurt, right? That's a very different question, and it's going to pull from very different sources based on how you ask the question. So we have to be aware of how do we even successfully use these tools. Um,
Veronica has a
mhm.
hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, say that again.
Veronica has a hand raised.
Oh, okay, let's hear from Veronica. Thank you.
Morning, Dr. Alexea.
Morning.
Okay, so I have been having a pain in the right side of my ankle, and so everybody says, "Oh, you have gout." So,
Mm-hmm.
so I went on AI and I looked up the symptoms
Mm-hmm.
of gout and what are the causes, and so it gave me a whole list of things. Food, it could be all kinds of things. So
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago, I went to my physician and I had my yearly physical.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she says, "You have any concerns?" And I told her about that. And she looked at my ankle and she says, "I don't think it's gout. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's arthritis you have." She said,
Mm-hmm.
"I am going to include the test for gout in your
Mm-hmm.
blood um, makeup. So I'm going back next week to see if it's really gout or
Yeah.
if it's arthritis."
Mm-hmm.
But I used AI just to see, well, what is it that I'm doing that might be
Mm-hmm.
causing this type of pain?
Yeah.
And so that's how I use AI, just to say, well, I'm going to ask it a specific question.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask details. And then when it comes back and says, "Do you have enough information?" I might say, "Yes, there's more information that I want," or "No, thank you. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you." And
Yeah.
so I'm learning that AI can work for you, but really the doctor is my first um, place that I'm going to go for advice. And then I'm going to take the advice and then go further with what she says was my diagnosis.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a diagnosis, which
Yeah.
comes with a blood test,
Yeah.
urinalysis, feces, all that stuff. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going for first. I'm
Yes.
complete.
I love that. Thank you for that share. Um, AI is a tool, right? And you're using it as a tool. It's not the end all and the be all. And it can't replace your healthcare team. It can't replace your carpenter. It can't replace your plumber, your electrician, your experts in your life, right? Your skilled workers in your life. It can't replace your mother. It can't replace your therapist. It can be a tool. And I think what you did is the perfect way or one of the better ways to use AI. So I'll get patients that come in and like I said, they'll walk in and they say, "I have this thing," right? Or they'll walk in and they say, and I'm sorry, I'm chuckling when I say that because my chuckle is not meant to be demeaning or diminishing or belittling of anyone who does this, but people will walk in and they'll say, "Doc, I've done my research." And um, I actually ask my patients, don't go into other healthcare places and say that because people get offended. And I'm not offended by people saying that. But people do get offended, right? If you are like an MD, PhD, clinical researcher, you're a primary investigator on multiple trials, you're a highly published clinician or physician or whoever, and someone comes in and says they did their research, well, it when we think research, we think randomized, double blind, case controlled clinical trials that are phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, validated information is has the outcome generated a standard of care, has the outcome of this research generated a groundbreaking health discovery, etc. So when people come in and say, "I did my research," healthcare professionals will sometimes internally or externally cringe. um, People may get defensive, etc. Because when we think about research, our Google searches or our online searches or our AI generated list we don't think of that as research. It's gleaning information, and it can be absolutely important and valuable information, but it turns doctors off and it makes them defenses. Some of them, not 100% of them. But when I say I like what you did, when people will say, you know, doc, I was researching and I looked up online, and I know you all hate when we do this, but, and I say, listen, I am all for you preparing for your visit, seeking out information so that you can come in as an informed consumer of healthcare, and so that you can ask informed questions, so that you have an understanding of what's going on in your care, so that you have an expectation, so that if I didn't come up with a uric acid test for your concern that you might have gout, that when we wrap up the visit and we say, okay, you're going to get this blood work for your routine annual exam based on your report of joint pain and my physical exam, even though I think it's arthritis, I'm going to throw in a uric acid or the gout test, and we're going to get an x-ray. You can say, oh, okay, that's all the things that I saw on my list. And that's great. I think, you know, the doctor did a good job, or I'm satisfied with the care I received, or I'm leaving with all of my questions answered, or, you know, with a game plan that I feel good about. And that's a great use of um, online information, search tools, search engines, etc. That's a great use of AI in order to um, get get the most that you can out of that interaction that you're having with your healthcare professional, without trying to take over or, you know, derail the visit. So I think when people come and say, okay, I did some research, my understanding is, okay, you went online, you searched, you put in your questions, concerns, and hopefully you have a list of questions, or you have a mental list. I'm listening for the doctor to say they're going to do this, that, or the third. And if they don't, I'm going to bring it up at the end of the visit, or when I'm given an opportunity to answer questions. I think that's the best use of these tools. And I think it should be a combination of things, not just this is what the chat or whatever told me, this is all I'm going with, and I'm not going to let you as the clinician or healthcare professional or the expert talk about anything else except for what the computer told me, right? That wouldn't be a great idea. So I think that's a fantastic example of how I want this, of like what I hope this conversation would lead to. So thank you so much for that. Um,
In the chat,
mhm.
Helen says, I use the internet for various info. I generally ask WebMD for medical info. Ms. Florence says, there is a site called PubMed. I
Mhm.
find lots of medical information there. There are
Yeah.
studies and reference sources. I may go to AI to see what may correspond with my findings.
Yeah. So PubMed is a great resource, because PubMed is going to give you clinical trials, case report. It's going to give you information, data that it has been peer reviewed, right? So unlike a blog where you purchase your website and you just get to put on anything that you want based on fact, your opinion, your lived experience, your own personal gathered information, something's not going to make it to PubMed if it's not peer reviewed, if it's not in a legitimized journal, medical journal, scientific journal, etc. And this is a source that should contain ethical studies and ethical information, studies that before they were done were put through an IRB, institutional review board, to make sure a study is designed in an ethical way and can hopefully have balanced and unbiased information come out. And this is usually information that is from um, the best resources, right? Not just pulled from anywhere. And then, yeah, fact check. Did I understand the conclusion of this article that I might have read? And sometimes the great thing about articles that you might find on PubMed is it might be like a retrospective trial, right? So, or a retrospective study, excuse me, not a trial. So, a retrospective study might take all of the papers on a given subject matter, and it could be 10, it could be 1,000. If we're talking about, medical care, it could represent maybe 100 case reports of something that is rare. It could represent tens of thousands of um, patients in multiple clinical trials that were studied to see what did this overall data say when we did a retrospective or when we did a look back study of all the trials that have been published to date. Here's what we found. And so that is you can get a whole bunch of information from that, but you also have to understand how to interpret those outcomes. So if you have difficulties, or if you want to make sure that, okay, I read this, I came to this conclusion, and I want to make sure it's right, let me now go ahead and ask the question in the AI tool to see, does it land, or is the general consensus what I took away from these papers or this paper that I read? And so to validate your thoughts or findings, I think is an excellent way to use a tool like that. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I love PubMed, but PubMed and WebMD are sources that patients aren't walking in and really talking much about anymore. And those have always been and still are trusted sources. And so, because there's been this shift and there's this push to use this, not that, this is the end all be all, I have some hesitations about it. So, thanks so much for that. So, Latifa, I see your comment in the chat. You said there are so many medical experts on the computer who have done their research without AI stepping into the picture. Do you mind coming on and talking about that more? Because I
Yes,
know say in a sentence doesn't always sum up the totality of our thoughts.
yes. I'm on the computer watching a program, listening to my music.
Mm-hmm.
Here comes this expert,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote, who
Mm-hmm.
has done the research they found back in 10 years ago that such and such has happened, and come on now because this information or this product will be sold out within the next 5 minutes. I'm saying five.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
how do you find out if this quote unquote expert has the answer
Mm-hmm.
without AI coming into picture when you do your own research?
Yeah. So um that's an important point, right? So what makes this person an expert other than their self declaration, right? Um I will say, as an expert in many things, when a patient asks me, well, how do you know? Because I've had patients ask me that, like, well, doctor, you're the 14th doctor that I saw about these symptoms, and you so quickly landed on that this is probably the diagnosis, and you're offering me these antibiotics. I'm an infectious disease doctor, so often I'm treating infections or saying, no, you don't have an infection, but I'm expert at what I'm expert in, right? So I'll use a very specific example. So someone may come to me after they've seen 14 doctors, and because I already know they saw 14 doctors before they ever stepped foot in my office, I'm like, send me the labs, send me the imaging, send me the notes, send me all the records related to these symptoms of people who have already worked you up, because I'm not starting from zero with this. If you felt terrible for 10 years, give me the data, right? And then when you come in, because then they say, okay, what's wrong with me? I'm like, whoa, we got to do the process. The process is you give me a history, right? When did your symptoms start? How did they progress? What made it worse? What made it better? I'm going to ask questions to glean more information. And then I'm going to come up with a differential diagnosis, a list of things I think this could be, and then either do additional workup, offer a treatment while additional workup is ongoing, etc. So I might say, I'm pretty confident you have Lyme disease based on this thing, and I want you to take this antibiotic, and I want to do this additional lab work. And when we come back in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever the time frame may be, potentially a response to the antibiotic is going to support the diagnosis. Additional labs may support the diagnosis or rule it out or whatever. And people will say, but how do you know? How do
Um,
you know that that's what's wrong with me? Because I've been sick this long and 14 other people couldn't give me an answer. So how do you know? And I'll say, well, because this is my expertise. And I'm telling you it's my expertise because I did 4 years of med school. I did 4 years of residency. So I've taken in an area that's highly endemic for this thing. I also did a fellowship in infectious disease. This is an infection. I achieved board certification in all three of those fields, and I've been practicing clinically in this area that is highly endemic for this infection. And I've treated more patients than I can count, and I've treated almost every complication of this infection. And that's what makes me expert. And that is why I'm confident that this is the diagnosis you have. That's very different than I just strapped on scrubs and a scrub cap and I said, oh, I'm so and so, your favorite, wellness influencer, or your favorite blah, 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 or your favorite this thing or that thing. Um, there's a difference, right? You understand the difference and why I'm calling myself an expert in this thing, and why I won't accept that everybody is calling themselves expert, doctor, guru, etc. And they may not necessarily have those credentials. What are their credentials? Who said they're an expert? What college, university, what institution, what governing body, what board said this person meets the criteria to be expert in this thing that they are offering you and allows them to safely treat you or offer you medical advice, health advice, wellness advice, mental health advice, whatever it is, exercise, fitness advice. What makes them an expert outside of their own lived experience? And how are they liable to you, right? Because these people on the internet can tell you anything they want to tell you. They can sell you anything they want to sell you. And they may have a firewall, a shield, a block. You may not even be able to find their name, their address, etc. if something bad happens, where they can be held responsible. Because along with my expertise, I have liability and I'm held responsible for the outcomes that occurs with my patients that I'm taking care of, right? So is this person going to be liable to you? Do you have recourse if they offer you something that harms you, right? Or do they just get to shut down their social media page and disappear when there's a bad outcome? So that's the difference when we're talking about experts and all of these different titles. At the end of the day, is this person liable? And then also, is this person just trying to sell you something, right? If that's the motivation for them making the post and selling and providing the information, is just ultimately to sell you something, and they've used the tools and the tactics, right, to get you to make this emotional purchase, be wary of that, right? I don't.
Doctor?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, because I'm on. I'm passionate about that. If you can't tell, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was just wondering how much more time do you need because we've passed
Oh, I don't even
our
know what
part.
time it is. Oh, we went over time. Okay,
Just
so
that the people them know how much more time you need because this is
yeah,
a very important conversation and we have
the
a couple of hands.
conversation. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask permission to, and I'm gonna ask you as my admins first, because this was supposed to be a 30-minute session, and I'm already 10 minutes over. So I will ask my admins first, how much time do you all have available? And then um, we'll get additional permission from our audience today. You can,
I stay on with you for until 7:45.
okay. So then we'll do 5 more minutes, and then we will maybe have to do a part two, another time to do another Q&A with Dr. A. Helen said, I have time. I have time today. I love it. But I'm going to respect the time of my admins. I'm grateful for everybody who showed up in this space. And I'm going to request to be able to come back on and let's continue this conversation because it's juicy. And I think it was overzealous to think we could get it all in 30 minutes. I think we just did a great introduction, and we'll have to pick up where we left off for a part two. Does that sound good? Thank you, Latifa. Latifa said, you must come back. Florence said she'd love to have another session. I would too. This is juicy. We definitely, yes, we do need a deeper dive or a part two. Wednesdays always work best for me. So we'll have to plan a special Wednesday where we can go a little longer and we'll prepare our admins.
Doctor, aren't you coming back in July?
Am I coming back in July? Could be. I don't know. Is there a day
Coming back in July.
if it's a Wednesday, we'll work it out. We will work it out.
We got a report from this man called AI that said you're supposed to be here next month.
Oh. We shall find our way. We shall find our way. The people demand a deeper dive and a part two. So I think this can be an ongoing conversation because this is a space that is evolving and um, American, well, I was about to say American healthcare is devolving. American healthcare is not devolving, but what is devolving is who is in charge at our HHS and the amount of medical misinformation that is coming out at a federal level from people who are not experts and the dismantling or the attempt to dismantle our American healthcare system is very real. And people need to understand, how to navigate these systems and what to look for. Adam says AI is here to stay and adapt or get left behind. And that is true. He says change is inevitable. That's true. And he says, and the wealthy folks know it. And yes, and people are building a lot of wealth with AI. People are building a lot of wealth as influencers. People are building a lot of wealth, claiming to be experts and selling lots of things. And so we have to develop a discernment, but we won't be able to discern if we don't have those conversations and if we don't learn to look like how misinformation is packaged, if we don't learn to understand the tools and the tactics that are being used. So, as I wrap up, I'll mention an example that was just given. So, this is going to sell out. Hurry up and buy. I only have 5 left. I just have 42 people sign up. And that might be real, but that information is presented to encourage you to get on board, to encourage you to hurry up and buy. And so when that is the case, I want you to just take a pause and take a moment to think about it. Do you really need that thing? Is it really going to benefit you? Is this information accurate? How can I validate this information? And maybe before I make this decision, I'm going to take that information back to the healthcare professional who is partnered with me in care, who knows me well, and who is liable and vested in my outcomes. Maybe I'm going to take it back to them before I just buy into the thing that somebody is selling. So I'm going to complete with that. I know we have a couple of slides to get through. Thank you all so much for your engagement. The time just flew by. And I think that's what happens when we have these great, juicy conversations.
That's what happened talking about it. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today. We look forward to having you back. Now, the most important thing, how can people reach you? Let me just share this
You
slide
can
quickly.
reach me at I'm on social media. My social medias are Facebook and Instagram is where I'm primarily active, and it's at Dr. Alexea, DRALEXEA. My website is dralexia.com and my email is agaffneyadams@gmail.com. So definitely reach out or connect with me there or follow me along there.
Awesome sauce. Thank you, Doctor. And
Mm-hmm.
please, if anyone has any questions, hopefully people reach out and hopefully
Yes, please do.
get in contact with you. If you appreciated this information that you got today, I'd like to encourage you to make a monthly automated love offering. These love offerings helps us continue to do what we do, keep the space open and help us just provide space for these wonderful facilitators and experts, because we always bring a lot of experts on the space to share their wonderful information with us. So please, anything that you give helps us continue to do what we do. So I'd like to encourage you to make a love offering. And to everyone who has been giving love offerings, we appreciate you, we see you, and this cannot work without you. So thank you so, so much. Up next, we have Jamie Monet Lloyd with Door 4, Becoming, Returning to Self. That is Thursday, 24 June, and looking forward to seeing all of your beautiful faces tomorrow. Thank you to all of the new members of the Woo Nation, and thank you to everyone who's returned after being away for quite some time. We see you, we appreciate you, and it's always wonderful to have you back in the space. Please continue to share with your friends, your family, your neighbors, and your communities. Share it across your social media platforms. Share, share, share. The more you share, the more we grow and the more people know. So please continue to do so. Here is our weekly schedule. We're on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. and on Monday and Wednesday from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. So Monday and Wednesday, those are shorter sessions. And on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, that is 7 a.m. to 8:30. We really appreciate having you in the space. Keep up with us by knowing who your facilitator for the day will be by texting Woo Nation to 74121. That is Woo Nation to 74121, and then you'll get a reminder in the morning. Stay in touch with us. Register for our weekly newsletter so you'll know who the facilitators will be for the next week. Sign up to our Facebook communities, both public and private, at bit.ly Woo Community. That is our private community, and bit.ly/Woo Nation. That is our public community. Follow us on Instagram at Wake Up Everybody Virtual, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at bit.ly/YouTube so you can catch all the replays you may have missed during the live sessions. Email us at info.wakeupseries@gmail.com if you have any comments, questions, or if you'd like to join the admin team. We'd really appreciate you being a part of everything. Thank you so much for being here today. We've reached the end of our session. Now, mic's on, everyone, and let's show Dr. Alexea some love. And let's begin the love shower.
Thank you, Dr. Alexea. So good to see you back in the space, and so good to get the information that you provide. So valuable. Really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to session 2 and 3 and 4,
Yes.
5 and 6.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so
We
much
didn't
for
even
giving
get
us your time and your
this best part,
expertise.
and
So
so
valuable
much.
and so
I wish I could
appreciated.
have got
Thank
a
you very much.
question in,
Have a
but
great day,
until the
Woo
next
family.
session,
Standing
have a
ovation.
great
And
day, and thank you for your
wasted.
valuable information.
Much
Can we wake up,
appreciated.
everybody?
Welcome.
Great day, everyone.
Bye all.
That
Thank
was,
you to the
have a great
expert.
day, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.